Hello. So, I'm back to working on my humanoid procedurally generated. Um, what I'm going to be covering today is the basic troubleshooting process for a very complex node group. So, I've upgraded from 3.2 to 3.5 alpha. Uh, System? No. About Blender, yes. 3.5 alpha. This is recorded on Christmas Day, so it's the latest Christmas Day branch. So in 3.2, this model, there's no bugs in it. So just moving to 3.5, uh, the weights have all disappeared. So uh, none of the joints work. The rigging is all broken. The connection between the hand and the fingers is broken. It connects back to a point up here. Um, all the connection points between the ear. The ear is done separately and attached to the head. You can see how a lot of that's broken. Same with the horns. The horns are made separately. The eyes aren't going back to the eyeball like they're supposed to. Uh, and it looks like that's all the problems, but I'll be going through them one at a time, troubleshooting. Um, it looks like there's no problems with the toes, because the toes are also separate from the foot, and the foot, if I remember correctly, is separate from the leg. Um, and the legs are separated. And if you find, images that appear to be a buttocks offensive, please turn away now. There is, because the leg, I hate that. There's the zoom function, for whatever reason, when you get in close, just stops working. There is no connection problems between the legs and the hips. The skin tone is also procedurally generated, and it looks okay. So it looks like the first problem starts in the hands. Alright, so to be able to get the detail in my model that I needed, I had to build the model at an absolutely massive scale and then shrink it. This is just how Blender works. Like, you can't get a high enough functional detail in a small model. So if you're having problems getting details using geometry nodes, like very fine details, increase the size of your model. That's all I can say. I have Node Wrangler, which is an add-on. You can install it with Blender. I'm not going to go over that. But Node Wrangler, I believe, is what gives me the functionality to do this. I'm holding in Alt and Shift and clicking on a node. And that makes a direct connection from that node to the output. And you see how, it gets massive. That's because it's bypassing the shrinking function I have later. So to be able to get a view of what I'm looking at, I press the period on the numpad. And that gives me the full regular view. Now if I hit Control Z, it will undo. Well, it's supposed to Control Z. There we go. And it disappears, but it didn't disappear, it just went to the shrink. Hit the period again and it goes back. So I gotta find where the hand connects with the fingers. Hold on one second. And let me make sure my voice is alright, yeah, because I haven't used this program in a while. let's see. That's the arm connection. These are fingers. I haven't looked at this in forever. This is where, let's see what this looks like. Alt, Shift, click, period. I don't know why. Control Z, Control Z. There we go. Alright, so let's go to go inside of here. Alt, Shift, click. Makes the thumb okay. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let's see what this one looks like. Basically, I'm trying to find where, Alt, Shift, click, where the problem begins. Alright, so this is before the fingers are moved to the positions of the hand, because this is, the fingers are made separately and the hand is made separately, and then I run a little thing, an algorithm, GeoNose group, that connects all the points together seamlessly. Alright. So Alt Shift. Why does that look different? Control Z. Alt Shift. Control Z. Alt Shift. Click here. So this is setting the position of vertex neighbors with a face count equal to 2. So that would be like this right here. In a quad, each vertex will have 4 neighbors. In a triangle, each vertex will have I don't know how many faces would be attached on a triangle. It'd be more. It'd be more than 3. But on quad, the faces would be 4. I think on triangle would be like 6. Because it'd have one that goes down to the left, one that goes down to the right. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But with using quads, you can see, like right here, those are not attached. At least I think those are not attached. It might be just a shading thing. Because this is the end cap. Because not only are the fingers and thumbs and stuff made separately, but the end of each finger and thumb is made separately. there's no thumb connection. Alt Shift click. There's a thumb connection. Is that supposed to... Yeah, that's my node group to this is my node group to connect this hand, this thumb to this hand. It is not a simple process. It actually should be... When I made this node group, there was no such thing as vertex neighbors node. Like, it just didn't exist. Because when I first started out, I was working in 3.0. And I made this like originally for the toes. I basically just copy and pasted for the fingers and changed the numbers, because this is like set the position of basically a point with the index. So whenever you change the indexes of the points, it breaks the model. Whereas if you did it differently, because it sets it from basically from one index to another index. Hold on. So the better way to do it is to check the ones that have, vertex neighbor of 2. Let me back out a little bit, because I don't want to go get that stuck there. Where is it? Saw it here earlier, where it's actually checking for vertex. This. Like, this is the better way of doing this whole thing here. But I have to do a proximity with target geometry, and I have to make sure the target geometry is not... How do I say this? Like, I have to make sure the target geometry hasn't been joined with the geometry I'm trying to add in. Like, I'd have to move this here. Yes, with the thumb. Alt Shift click. Because once it gets here, if I'm trying to do proximity with another object, these are all one object now. Technically, I can still do it here. I just have to pull the target from before they're joined. And I'd have to make sure... It'd be better to put it here, because then the points being moved would be from here, and the points being moved to would be here, this object. But I think this does something else. I think this is actually... Yeah, this is the part that deletes the hole. So this... See that? Like, I'm manually selecting the... where the hole is being made. See, that makes the hole where the thumb will go. And this like goes point by point. You can see like one point being moved, one point being moved. And you can see how it's being moved to shape up the thumb. But there, the indexes are off. So, the solution before was to just manually go through these and find each individual index for each individual point. That would take hours. So the better solution is to how do I say this? The better solution is to find the vertex neighbors that are in proximity to this hole. Let me go back out a little bit. Undo, undo. So I would have to basically rotate this hole and then move the points along these edges, which is defined by vertex neighbor face count 2 or 3. Because a 3 would be like a corner here, it would have 3 neighbors. A better way to do it would be, how do I, man, it's been so long since I've done this, where like if you take the endpoints of a line that only has one face neighbor, that will always be a disconnected edge. Because all edges that are, you know, part of the model will always have a face on each side. It'll always be 2 faces per line. If it has only 1 face per line, you know it's I think it's called a manifold edge. Basically, a hole in your geometry. If your line only has 1 face neighbor, it's a hole in the geometry. So what I would do is I would find all the points between here and here that have 1 face neighbor. Then I would rotate this 90 degrees. Like I'd rotate the hole, or basically the edges of the hole, 90 degrees around its center, so that the hole, this right here would be up here, this right here would be down here, and then I find the nearest point based on proximity, right here, geometry proximity, to the position of the nearest point, and just move the point, move the point, move the point with this set position. And it would do everything automatically pretty quickly, creating that node group is kind of challenging. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out until the group goes back to that. Alright, so I'm going to go back to that, and what I'm going to do, well, the thumb seems to be connected fine. It's just the thumb tip is not connected, and all the fingers are not connected. Basically, it just means I have to update my node groups to more functional nodes. Yeah, this took me 6 months of working to get as far as I did, and a lot of it has to be. I think the name is called refactored. to use new nodes more efficiently than manually, because literally every time I made any change, my model would break just like this. And I had to go through and point by point find the index of its source and its destination. It took like 2 hours to make even the smallest changes in my model because they would break everything. But I had no other option until uh, neighbors nodes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate. Oh man, I forgot how. Control D. Control D. Let's see. Shift D. Okay. Shift D. So I'm going to duplicate that, set it as its own thing.